The capricious 2022 Formula One car, which Mercedes has made tremendous through its understanding, is nevertheless prone to mood swings, according to team principal Toto Wolff. Even though Mercedes is typically able to forecast how competitive it will beat a given circuit going into an event, these variations in performance over the course of a weekend continue to raise questions. So is Mercedes really giving up on its F1 streak? Let's find out. Firstly, how are Red Bull and Max Verstappen's streaks going? The potential of the world champion not being defeated again in 2022 has started to feel highly plausible, as Max Verstappen and Red Bull's Formula One winning streak has reached 5 races. These victories have come in a wide range of circuit types, race scenarios, and starting positions. One significant factor is Ferrari's early season troubles. A competitor of Red Bull, it still felt like it could defeat Red Bull on any given weekend if it only did things right when it was losing races due to tactical or driving blunders. You just don't anticipate Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz having the car to take on Verstappen in a straight battle, given Ferrari's recent performance decline and their seeming confusion about why. Should we, therefore, turn elsewhere? Will Verstappen's run be best interrupted by Mercedes? Up next, what does Hamilton think about Mercedes as a competitor to Red Bull? Its performance varied greatly, with definite lows at Spa and Monza. However, it had a chance to win at the Hungaroring and Zandvoort. If it keeps moving, George Russell or Lewis Hamilton might have the strength to halt Verstappen at a Mercedes-friendly circuit. No, Hamilton believes, not without a great deal of luck. He is confident that Mercedes won't be able to compete with Red Bull for the remainder of 2022 due to nothing in its development pipeline. After Monza, Hamilton observed, "We have to be realistic. Red Bull is basically invincible. Beating that automobile is going to need some serious effort. They outperform everyone in terms of performance. They evaded our capture. There are no upcoming enhancements that can catch up to them. Therefore, it will require good luck to be on our side. If not absolutely impossible, because we might have defeated them in Budapest," he said. So, what does the technical director of Mercedes have to say? Mike Elliott, technical director of Mercedes, agrees with that viewpoint. The gap between Mercedes and Ferrari in the constructors' title is now only 35 points. If it does, Mercedes will face its first winless F1 season since 2011 after winning 8 straight manufacturers' championships. Nevertheless, Elliott makes the right noises about still wanting to win in 2022. He also immediately shifts to the most crucial thing for Mercedes to focus on between now and Abu Dhabi in November, ensuring that it can compete for the 2023 championship. In Mercedes' debrief video this week, he added, "We want to try and fight Ferrari for that second position. We want to try and win a race this season, or preferably numerous races. But most of all, we want to get ourselves back on track, so we are fighting properly for a title next year." Mercedes has been plagued by the unpredictability of its 2022 design since the year's beginning, but now thinks it can forecast which races it will do poorly in and where it will perform well. At least now, it feels like it has the background knowledge necessary to get 2023 right. The understanding that is emerging from our simulation work and the knowledge that is emerging from the wind tunnel is allowing us to figure out why our performance is going up and down, and what we need to do to get back into the fight right at the front, and what we need to do over the winter, according to Elliott. We've had some good races, and we've had some not so good races, but what's really encouraging for me is the understanding that is emerging from the simulation work we do. I believe those are crucial factors. The 6 remaining races of the season require us to do what we always do, race as well as we can. Up next, how Hamilton did give a justification for it, and how was his opening F1 season. Hamilton offered another justification for not being overly hopeful or fixated on defeating Verstappen to a racing victory in the remaining races of 2022. You never know his true pace, since he usually just chills at the front. In the opening session of the Formula One Singapore Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton led the way for Mercedes. He just edged out title leader Max Verstappen for the whole time. For the majority of the first practice session at the Marina Bay circuit, Verstappen maintained a strong lead on the leaderboard. He led the pace comfortably on medium and soft tires, before a strong finish from 7-time F1 winner Hamilton propelled Mercedes to the top. with the W13's relatively solid recent form on high downforce tracks like Budapest and Zandvoort, Mercedes expects to do pretty well this year, despite Mercedes typically struggling at the circuit, where Hamilton set a 1M43.033's best. Verstappen was passed by Hamilton by less than a tenth of a second, thanks to Hamilton's effort. He hasn't won an F1 practice session yet in 2022, though he did place first in Hungary's Q1 qualifying. Up next, what other issues have been faced by other racers? Charles Leclerc overcame a challenging start to the session to place third fastest for Ferrari while trailing the leaders by 4/10. Leclerc wasted a considerable amount of time in the pits. At the same time, Ferrari tried to fix the brake issue after reporting it at the start of the practice session. Carlos Sainz, a teammate, also encountered some issues. He used the hard compound tire for the first half of the practice before adjusting the Ferrari setup and switching to soft tires. The finish of his most significant effort was spoiled when he nearly crashed again, crossing the outside curb that connects the final two circuits of the lap at turn 5 on his first flying lap, after Sergio Perez's Red Bull, which lost a driveshaft, and George Russell's Mercedes, which had torque overrun troubles earlier in the session and narrowly avoided a brief nose into the wall due to a brake lockup. He finished the session with 6th quickest, trailing both by 1.1 seconds, while Lance Stroll had the Aston Martin 9th fastest before hitting the wall at turn 5 right-hander and bringing out the red flag. Esteban Ocon was 7th in the best of the Alpines, which have yet to run the latest floor update the team brought to Singapore. The top 10 was completed by Fernando Alonso's Alpine and Pierre Gasly's AlphaTauri. Earlier in the session, when the track lacked grip, Alonso was 2nd fastest on medium tires, but he dropped back when others switched to soft tires and improved. On medium tires, Valtteri Bottas temporarily moved Alfa Romeo into the top 6. Still, his performance ultimately only earned him 13th place overall, behind Daniel Ricciardo's McLaren and Sebastian Vettel's Aston Martin. Lando Norris finished just 19th in the improved McLaren Mercedes. At the same time, Alex Albon set the 16th fastest time for Williams to celebrate his comeback to F1 competition following appendicitis. Early on, he was in the top 4, but as the session went on, he fell behind. Lastly, how will F1 be improved to make it to the Singapore Grand Prix? So guys, let's now talk about the complete list of improvements that Formula 1 teams will make to the Singapore Grand Prix. Mark Hughes outlines what has changed at Marina Bay, highlighting Red Bull's adjustments and significant efforts from the teams vying for 4th place in the F1 Constructors Championship. Let's start with it. 1. Red Bull. All Red Bull has to say is that the floor fences have been subtly reprofiled. For a large portion of the season, this team has drawn attention to its exact matching of fencing and floor features with circuit regulations. 2. McLaren. The alterations McLaren has made here include adjustments to the fences and the forward floor body, in addition to the reprofiled radiator inlets, which are the most visibly noticeable. Additional bodywork and front brake cooling are required due to the circuit's demands. During FP1, a modified diffuser might be used. 3. Alpine. Alpine has introduced a brand new floor that is remarkably different, and the team is very optimistic about its efficacy. It boasts enhanced tire squirt control of the rear wheels and improved vortex management from the floor and underfloor edges. 4. AlphaTauri. To raise awareness on the inboard part and make changes to the outboard part to better wheel weight control, AlphaTauri has brought a new front wing, which is somewhat unusual in the cost-controlled era. Additionally, Aston Martin has changed the floor edges detailing to improve vortex generation, and Williams has upgraded the rear brake ducts material for more excellent dependability. And that's a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button. And friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because I have very exciting videos ready for you. Press the bell button to stay updated. Till then, take care. Goodbye.